One of our viewers says he is unsure about retirement. He has a $1.2 million retirement fund, age 43, and is tired of working. This may sound like a no-brainer, but is it really? Stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is Richard with Wisdom Investor. One of our viewers had a question. They've accumulated $1.2 million. They're tired of working, but they're nervous about retiring early. So we're going to analyze this situation here today and find out if this person could be able to retire at the age of 43. Here's our viewer's question. I'm 43 with a retirement fund of $1.2 million. I'm afraid to retire, but I'm tired of working. First of all, I want to congratulate this person for being able to accumulate $1.2 million by the age of 43. Now we're going to break this down into 4 segments. First segment is 43 with a retirement fund. The $1.2 million, is that enough to last in retirement? Also the statement, I'm afraid to retire, we'll analyze, and I'm tired of working. Keep in mind, if you haven't saved $1.2 million, this information will still apply to you. Today we are filming from St. Petersburg, Florida, Pier and Marina. We're going to analyze the first segment of this person's comment. They said they're age 43 with a retirement fund. Is this too young to retire? Of course, most of us would say it's never too young to retire. Now, one thing here we want to look at, this person has a retirement fund, so that would tell us they have a 401k. Now, there are certain rules that we have to abide by if we're going to take our money out early. And the rule of 55 states that we need to be at least 55 years old, or there can be a 10% penalty if we take our money out of a 401k. So this person is going to have to analyze whether they want a 10% penalty on their withdrawals. If you have a traditional IRA and you withdraw money before you turn 59 and a half, you also may have a 10% tax penalty. There's also certain approved situations you may take early withdrawals with no penalty. The recently remodeled St. Petersburg Pier is a massive structure. It extends a mile long, and it ends with a restaurant with a beautiful view over the ocean. Our second major area of concern for our viewer with $1.2 million saved for retirement is this enough money to last a lifetime? If he retires early at age 45 with a life expectancy of 85, we're going to work up 3 different hypothetical assumptions using 3 different rates of return from his retirement savings. We're going to use a 2% rate, 6%, and 8% rate. The withdrawal amount will increase 2% per year for inflation. We'll also calculate in the taxes depending on his income. And Social Security will be a concern. If he's retiring early, he will not have his 35 years of wages to get his full Social Security retirement benefit. It's also important to know what your expenses are. Here's some basic costs that were calculated by GoBankingRates.com. Keep in mind, everyone's situation is going to be different. If you have your house paid off, all your cars paid off, your annual cost of living is going to be less. But this is just an example here to help us understand if these withdrawal amounts are going to be adequate to cover the cost of living. We're looking at the massive St. Petersburg Pier, and you can see the pathway out to the restaurant, and there's even a trolley bus to take visitors out there since this is 1 mile long. We're going to determine how much our viewer can withdraw from the $1.2 million retirement fund with an investment return of 2% over the life of the fund. Now this would be 25% in stocks and 75% in cash. The viewer can also use other investment strategies such as real estate income investing if they chose. Also, the viewer is going to retire at age 45 with a life expectancy of 85. Now, if the viewer withdrew $2,000 per month, that would be $24,000 per year. Now, the question here to ask is that enough money to pay for retirement expenses? Also, keep in mind, if the viewer has this money coming out of a 401k, there's going to be a 10% penalty between the ages of 45 and 55. If we go down to the withdrawal amount of $4,000 per month, that's going to give us $48,000 per year to cover our expenses. Now, the withdrawal in this case would last till age 69. So the viewer is going to have to get a higher rate of return because the life expectancy is 85. Now, keep in mind, too, Social Security would kick in at either 62 or age 67. However, since the viewer is not working the full 35 years of wages, Social Security is going to be drastically reduced. If the viewer withdrew $5,000 per month, that's $60,000 per year in expenses that he'd be able to cover. However, the life of the fund would only be till age 64, and he would have to rely on Social Security after that.
The view from the restaurant, looking back over the St. Petersburg Pier with the St. Petersburg, Florida skyline in the background.
Now let's take a look at an investment return of 6%. This would be 50% in stocks, 50% in cash. If we go down to the $4,000 per month, that's $48,000 per year, and that would last till age 87. So you can see with a higher rate of return, the $4,000 per month would last much longer, and that would pretty much cover the person for a lifetime. Keep in mind, you're still going to get that 10% 401k withdrawal tax penalty between the ages of 45 and 55. If he withdrew $5,000 per month, that's $60,000 per year to cover retirement expenses. And his withdrawal would last till age 74. So he may run out of money in this particular case if his life expectancy is going to be 85. Let's take a look at it. If our viewer had an investment return of 8%, that'd be 75% in the stock market and 25% in cash. It's going to withdraw money from the $1.2 million retirement fund. It's going to retire early at age 45 with a life expectancy of 85. If we go down to $4,000 per month, that'd give the viewer $48,000 per year to cover expenses in lifetime. Keep in mind that $4,000 per month is also going to grow 2% annually to cover inflation. Now, the $4,000 per month would last a lifetime for the viewer. If the viewer withdrew $5,000 per month, that would give him $60,000 per year in today's dollars to cover expenses. That would last until age 90, which would still cover the person if his life expectancy is going to be 85. Let's tackle this situation. I'm tired of work. Now, there are some benefits of continuing to work. One, you can continue to save for your retirement. Two, continue to build your Social Security benefit. You need 35 years of wages to get the full Social Security benefit. Three, you'll be able to participate in the company-provided health insurance. And many of us also build relationships and friends at work. Let's take a look at this statement here. I'm afraid to retire. Now, if the person quits at 43, they then have to start taking full responsibility for their money and finances to make it last a full 40 years or more. Also, there's an emotional feeling, will I run out of money in retirement? Or what if the stock market crashes? So there are a lot of concerns to worry about if you take retirement early. If our viewer is going to retire early on his $1.2 million retirement fund at age 45, he's going to have to plan out his life. He's going to have to evaluate his expenses and also how much he's withdrawing on an annual basis. Then he's going to have to execute that plan. And then every year or so, he's going to need to reevaluate the plan and make sure he's on target to retire at age 45.
Now, our viewer could retire at age 43 if he does two things. One, he's going to need to manage his expenses and watch his expenses. The other thing is, he's going to want to get the best return on his money. He's got to make that money drag out as long as possible, possibly 40 years. Now, if he watches his expenses, then he's going to be able to be less nervous about the situation. He'll be under control of what's going on. Now, he could wait till 55. I think financially he'd be much better off. But his question here was, could he retire at 43? So I want to thank you for watching. If you have any comments, leave your comments.